It's time for Twig This Week in Google, a rebuttal. We'll talk about Google AMP one more time, but this time with the help of Jonathan Abrams. He was the founder of Friendster. Now he runs Nuzzel and is one of the prime users of Google AMP. Jeff Jarvis will join us from his new CUNY J School studio. It's going to be a great Twig. Next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 337. That's practically elite. Recorded Wednesday, January 27th, 2016. The Shruggie is out there. This Week in Google is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/twig. And by NatureBox. NatureBox is dedicated to making smart, delicious snacking easy. They have over 100 ridiculously delicious snacks that get delivered directly to your doorstep. Visit naturebox.com/twit to get 50% off your first box now. And by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/twig and entering the promo code TWIG. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, a show where we cover whatever the hell we want to cover, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say, because Jeff Jarvis is now coming to us from the J School, the Tao School of Journalism in the beautiful Manhattan campus of the City University of New York. And look at this studio. Wait a minute. It's Senior Wences, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. This is so pro, Jeff. I can't take it. Wow.
Amazing, huh?
And so tell us a little bit. This was something that you and your dean,
Sarah Bartlett,
have been pitching for some time. I think you got some grant money to do it.
Yes, we did. We are going to become the East Coast outlet for Twit and do a show here coming in the spring on the New York tech scene on the Twit network, thanks to Leo and company. And we're very excited. And so this is from our studio that we have here. Behind me is the newsroom. It's empty today because classes start on Friday. And we'll fix up lighting and things and do other stuff. We wanted to test today whether or not we could have a decent conversation and a decent picture, and Leo's ecstatic.
Well, you just surprised me. I didn't know you were ready. And we're using the Comrex live stream, live shot, which is interesting because this is the public internet, much like Skype, but we're pouring more bandwidth into it, about 6 megabits. So as a result,
they've done a lot of adjustments to get the latency down. So it's less than, 200 milliseconds, right?
Oh, yeah. It's 140 milliseconds from me to you, 200 milliseconds from you to me. So the round trip is less than half a second, which is more than adequate for a two-way conversation. No more pink Jeff. Well, we'll still get you when you go to your house.
Yeah.
But you look like looks good. You feel like this is like you should be on Meet the Press, or I don't know, Anderson. Where's Anderson Cooper when we need him? This is good. This is really great. So thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it. You did a nice thing for us. You're back from Davos, but while you were in Davos, you reached out to Jonathan Abrams.
Because we've had such chatter about AMP on the show, and you and Jonathan had some talk about it on Twitter, and we don't want to talk to Jonathan about more than just AMP, but this is a chance to get together with Jonathan, and I'm a big fan of Nuzzel. I visited him there, and so we can talk to Jonathan. Jonathan's a major
joining us now, the founder and CEO of Nuzzel, Jonathan Abrams. He is, you may know the name. It may ring a bell. We did a triangulation episode with Jonathan. He was the founder of Friendster, the very first massive social network. And I'll never forget, it was in Tech TV days. We were doing Tech Live on the set. And I remember somebody saying, have you seen this thing called Friendster? I think it was Kat Schwartz, who was my co-host on Call for Help. What, Friendster? What's that? She said, oh, you add your friends and you talk with them. And, you know, I don't think we were aware of Facebook at the time. I think if it was around, it was because this is 2000. Probably, what year was that, Jonathan? 2000, 1999?
2003.
2003, that late, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, that early. Facebook did not exist then, but
did not exist.
I remember being on Tech TV a few times. Some of the Tech TV folks were pretty early.
I was
aware of Friendster.
In fact, I remember getting on it, and we talked about it. We brought it down, and we couldn't get on. It was really exciting. And
actually, that's true. I think I was on with Sarah Lane, and she put it up on the screen, and we were having problems with it loading
immediately.
Yeah.
Twit power.
Well, Tech TV power, which has been translated to Twit power now.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Really cool stuff, and I think. I mean, it's clear you know you're kind of the John the Baptist of social media. You paved the way for what was to come. I don't think you got beheaded. However, it was for many of us our first experience, and it was a revelation of what social media could be. So we owe you a lot. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. It's good to see you again, and good to see Jeff again.
Why didn't you rest on your laurels? I'm sure. I mean, MySpace Tom is just hanging out in his mansion. Sure, I'm not kidding. Nice guy. I met him, hung out with him, and Trey Ratcliffe is great. But you know, he's done.
Well, I'm an engineer. I like to build things.
Well, you continued on. Actually, I think we have.
I'm glad you did.
Thanks to YouTube, we can relive those heady days early on. This is Sarah Lane at your Friendster.
It's the hottest thing online right now, where you meet people through people that you already know. That's right. We printed out our Friendster list.
Oh,
we
wow.
can track down some of these friends. We're going to see if our online Friendsters can be our real friends.
Morgan Webb, Sarah Lane, Kat Schwartz, Jessica Corbin.
They're dressed like that apartment you showed earlier is decorated.
2003, baby.
Is that Max Lebchin?
Yeah, probably.
That's James Hong.
Tell us your name and how many Friendsters you have.
My name is Polly, and I have 170 Friendsters.
170 Friendsters. Friends, and have you dated any of these friends?
Yeah, I just dated one last week.
How'd it go?
Really great, yeah. He's a physicist from Stanford.
This is Tim. We've been talking online for a while now, and he said he's going to be here. Let's see if he's here.
This is before Tinder, before Facebook.
Are you Tim?
No, I'm not.
You know Tim?
I don't.
Isn't that Matt Marshall, the founder of VentureBeat?
You probably recognize all these people, you know? I mean,
Not all.
A long time ago.
I want to see Jonathan Abrams.
I think that was the founder of VentureBeat.
Wow.
I'm about 21. Now, okay, on your Friendster, do you put single or in a relationship? I'm single, definitely. You're out there to meet some guys? Yeah. How many friends does the founder of Friendster have?
There you are.
Friendster?
Oh my God.
Almost 200, I think.
He only has 2 in real life.
All right, that's enough.
Wow.
That's a time capsule.
Thank you to whoever found that. Friendster's gone, though, right? There's no Friendster left.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, as is often the case with the press, they tell the same story over and over again. And Friendster was reported to have died many, many, many times when it had not. It was acquired in 2009. Then the Asian company that owned it sort of refocused on social gaming. And the weird thing is, very recently, they seem to have shut down the site. So let's see, it's like, I don't know, 5-6 years after they bought it. And I don't think that got a lot of coverage in the press, but the irony is that there had been many times in many previous years when it was reported that Friendster, you know, had died or shut down, when it had not.
It went through June of last year.
But it was the Abe Vigoda of services.
That's mean. Oh, poor Abe.
Well, everybody thought it was dead. By the way, may Abe Vigoda rest in peace. I'm saying this is the
we love Abe Vigoda. And, yeah, he was an internet meme
I was
for
a People
longer
magazine.
Well, I started
he was
Friendster in
declared dead.
2002.
Yeah.
And if it shut down in 2015, it's still at 13 years.
That's good.
It's a long time on the internet.
It's 150 years internet time or something. When was that, Jeff, that you were at Entertainment Weekly? So that was a long time ago that people thought Abe Vigoda had...
It was at People before that, and so a story went through about Abe Vigoda, and a top editor put in the late Abe Vigoda, and the fact checker, this is why we had fact checkers, take that out and said, no, Abe Vigoda, and then it went back to the editor again, and he said the late Abe Vigoda, and it went into print that way. And this is my favorite part of the story, of course, is that the next week Abe Vigoda took out a full-page ad in Variety of himself sitting up in a coffin reading People.
I think that's convincing. Abe Vigoda, of course, Fish from Barney Miller, but also before that, Tessio from The Godfather. And the meme ended up with a website, abevigoda.com, where you could go. And in fact, I went when I saw on Twitter that Mr. Vigoda had passed away. I went there, and it still said he was alive. Somebody tweeted, I think Kodrowski tweeted, "You had one job." and then the site went down, and it's come back with a sad, that's terrible. That's terrible. Fish sleeps with the fishes. Anyway, thank you for Friendster. I think you did a wonderful job. Somebody told me that as of 2010, Facebook purchased some of your patents, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was so after Friendster was sold to a company in Asia, that company in turn sold all the patents to Facebook for more than they paid to acquire Friendster. It was sort of the final chapter of the bizarre mismanagement of Friendster. So yeah, now Facebook owns all the patents.
Apologies. It was Patrick Delahanty in our own office who passed along this tweet. You had one job. Can you pull it up? Jason, are you distracted? Are you busy back there? Are you doing something? I'm sorry. You had one job. Abe is abevigodadead.com. Rest in peace, Abe. Thank you, Patrick. I want to give he works on our staff, so I want to give him credit for that. But enough of the past. Let's talk about Nuzzel. Did you have stuff in between, Jonathan, that you worked on?
In between Friendster and Nuzzel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after Friendster, I had a startup called Socializer that was a competitor to Evite.
Yep.
And much, much better than Evite, but that turns out to be a really horrible market. So we merged with another player in that space, and I was sort of glad to get out of the helping people manage their party invites, because that turned out to be a huge headache. People would call us.
As everybody learned, yeah.
People would call us up and say, "You've ruined my party. Nobody's gotten my invitations." Then we'd look in our database and see that people had received it, and they were just lying. Because it turns out that people tell the host, "Oh no, I didn't get the invitation," if they don't want to go.
Right.
So that was a kind of a frustrating market. And then after that, I started Founders Den and then Nuzzel.
Oh, Founders Den, of course. A great place to. That's in San Francisco, right?
Yep. So I'm coming at you from the beautiful conference room at Founders Den. Went in here to get some quiet, and I'm looking right out the window at Soma in San Francisco.
So Founders Den is a workspace, shared workspace, but it was a little controversial because it's also a private club.
Well, I don't think it was controversial, but it's also meant to be a bit of a private community.
Yeah. Controversial only among those who couldn't get in. Maybe that's better said that way.
Well, I mean, it's not like a country club where we're excluding people. It's really more meant to have been a curated experience, because there's a lot of co-working spaces in San Francisco, and for the most part, you walk in with the check and they'll rent you a desk. And we wanted to create something that was a little bit more of a curated community.
Yeah.
Not to exclude people, but really to foster more of a sense of community.
Nice.
It also adds value, I think. General Assembly kind of did the same thing, where you had to compete to get in, and when you knew you were in, that meant something about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Founders Den is a pretty unique place. I mean, you can walk in here and you're going to see, just sitting around or having their meetings, you're going to see people like Gavin Newsom, Gil Pinchina, Jay Adelson, Charles Hudson. So other people in the industry, I think, feel like they fit in. This is a cool place for them to take a meeting, a lot better than going to a Starbucks. And people can come in here to meet somebody, and then they ended up often bumping into somebody else that they haven't seen in a while, some other VC or entrepreneur who they're really pleased to catch up with. So it's it's kind of a special community, but ultimately it is a shared office space, and we've had companies like Wanilo and Docker and DataSift, SocialCam, Kaggle, all sorts of companies, and of course this is where Nuzzel itself is headquartered.
Nice. Jason Calacanis was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, really, San Francisco is going to be, it's the new Florence. It's the new center of the world. I'm sure you, Jeff, would not agree. That's why we're going to do a New York startup scene.
Shit. Jason's ego meets San Francisco's ego.
No, but he put his money where his mouth is. He moved from L.A. to be in San Francisco. Because I think he's not far wrong. I mean, and there is a magic that happens because you can have these conversations, because everybody is kind of trying to solve the same problems. I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sorry,
New York
Jeff.
tech scene is where real business is, real people are.
Oh, they say that in Austin and Seattle
30
too.
30 inches of snow. We have to walk to work.
You gotta work
through 30 inches of snow. Well, it matters here, and our bare feet, because we're tough in New York. We're not like you wimps out there who take your little fluffy buses down to your jobs. Yeah.
I shoveled enough snow in my day.
Yeah, enough. Are you from New York area, Jonathan?
Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That was real snow.
Yep.
So let's talk about Nuzzel, because I have to say there were others. Brad Cross at Google created another social news right at the same time news idea, and I forgot. I'm sorry, Brad. I forgot the name already. But you joined it and a few of the others. But Nuzzel, I think it's very clear you did everything right with Nuzzel, and Nuzzel stands alone now, and everybody I know in my business uses Nuzzel.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really
and
good.
Loves Nuzzel.
And loves it.
I think that what we're doing is unique. So the interesting thing is people have been building personalized news aggregation tools for a long time. There were a lot of things that predated Silicon, this in Silicon Valley. And in fact, just like some other things I've worked on, news personalization and aggregation are one of the things that I think Silicon Valley people like to build over and over again, but they're almost always too complicated.
Prismatic, that's what Brad's startup was. And they pivoted away. There's some secret sauce. The way Nuzzel works is you sign up using your Twitter or Facebook account. You will then link also your other social media accounts. Is it just still Twitter and Facebook? Have you got others in there now too?
So in November, we launched what we called Nuzzel 2.0, and it was a huge new release for us that now, in addition to the experience that you and Jeff use, where you log in with Twitter and you, just by virtue of connecting your graph from Twitter, get automatically personalized relevant news using that. As of November, the 2.0 brings a new experience for people who don't use Twitter. And you can now go to Nuzzel on iPhone, Android, or web.
I love that, by the way. Yeah,
you can discover feeds that other people have created, and you can search and you can fave feeds. So, for example, somebody could go and just say, okay, I like Jeff Jarvis's feed, and I want to get that via email, or I want to get that via push, or I want to look at that on the web, or I want to have that as a tab in my iPhone or Android app, because Jeff Jarvis, he knows how to use Twitter, and he's followed a lot of interesting people, and I'm interested in the world of journalism and online news, and Jeff Jarvis's feed is going to be giving me very relevant stuff. I'm just going to use that. So as of November, there's a whole new experience around faving feeds, discovering feeds, searching, that is available to people who don't necessarily log in with a social media account.
I love it, Jeff. Did you notice this? Google thinks your feed is in German. Would you like to translate it? You got to stop posting these foreign language articles, okay?
I know. Well, look at that. German first, Spanish next.
But both of them writing about
and
you.
And the next one is the other Jeff Jarvis.
Oh, my gosh.
I like that. German.
I'm going to stop following this guy. He doesn't post in English anymore.
Jeez.
This is because you were at Davos.
Well, I guess because Jonathan, it must have presumed I was in German and then picked German, gave priority to German.
So this is actually not Jeff's feed. This is a search result.
Oh.
So you're looking. So at the top is a search result showing Jeff's feed.
Yeah.
Below that are stories that have the word Jeff Jarvis.
That's why it says stories. I guess I get it. Okay.
Right.
So this could be also used as a way to search for topics.
Absolutely.
Oh, interesting.
Right, and you can get feeds of topics. So I've talked to some news organizations saying that you could use Nuzzel to say that if you want to have a feed of all of the, Cleveland Browns stuff, you can use Nuzzel because basically people have picked the people who picked the good stuff, right?
Absolutely, and I think ultimately Nuzzel is moving in the direction of being more than just a news aggregation app that people are using for their own value, which people use it that way and love it, but we're, I think, evolving beyond that to also being a platform where people can create feeds, and we think that that's a very sort of interesting thing. We've created a few hundred feeds to showcase the 2.0 functionality that we launched in November, but ultimately we think in the long run the feeds will be created by media companies and experts and organizations and nonprofits and all sorts of people or companies that have an interest in a certain topic, and they could use Nuzzel to create feeds on those topics or around a specific community.
I apologize because I've been completely misusing Nuzzel all this time. I just thought it was a great stream. Well, partly it's testament to the fact that you do that basic core functionality so well. I've never looked beyond the 3 tabs: news from your friends, news from friends of friends.
People are going to use Nuzzel in different ways.
Yeah.
And the 2.0 experience, we only launched that 2 months ago. So that's new. So you're not that far behind, but you logged in with your Twitter account, and therefore you can use Nuzzel just the way you've been using it, and it's delivering great value to you. But we also wanted to move in the direction of supporting people who aren't necessarily Twitter power users, and those kind of people, perhaps somebody
which Twitter would like to do too, right?
Sure. And so somebody who doesn't use Twitter but is a fan of Leo's and is interested in Leo's world, maybe they will fave Leo's feed in the app, or maybe they'll subscribe to Leo's Nuzzel newsletter. So that is a way that we can extend the power of social curation to a broader audience, so that everybody can benefit from that. That stuff is relatively new. Like I said, the 2.0 launch was in November, just a week before Thanksgiving.
And what's cool about this is it leverages work that I've done on other social sites. I don't really have to really do anything because the last thing anybody wants is another site where you have to make lists and create content. It's like Flipboard is always saying, "Would you like to make a magazine?" No, I don't want to make a magazine. I just want to read news stories.
Yeah, one of our fundamental philosophies for Nuzzel was that people shouldn't have to do work.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to say, okay, come to Nuzzel and then enter a list of topics you're interested in. And we didn't want people to have to train it by looking at irrelevant content before we start delivering relevant content. We just didn't believe that people want to do those kind of things. So we started off by tapping into your existing social graphs to provide instantly relevant content with no work. Now what we're trying to do is figure out ways that other people can also get that power of social curation. So while most people don't have to do any work and create a list, if a small number of people do create a list, Nuzzel can turn that into something that then a million other people can just consume without them having to do any work. So for example, Mark Andreessen created an economics Twitter list that is automatically turned by Nuzzel into a news feed of really interesting economics news. And anybody in the world can subscribe to that. And and they don't have to do any work. They can just say, I'm interested in economics. They subscribe to that. They are doing no work. They're just going to get good content.
And how do I find? So I've got a media wonks list. So the same thing exists there. So it already exists in Nuzzel, eh?
It should. So as of November, when we added search, so now if you go to Nuzzel via Android, iPhone, or web, and you search for media wonks, hopefully that will pop up.
It's worked for me because I see all these lists that my feeds I've created, which I never created, but it pulled those from Twitter.
Right. And like I said, in the long run, we'd like organizations to create great feeds. So it could be a journalism school. It could be ESPN. It could be Hillary Clinton campaign. It could be Disney. It could be anybody. People can use this to create feeds on topics or on communities.
It feels like you've learned a lot from your previous startups about how to build features in, how to almost in a way go slow and build thoughtfully. That's what it feels like to me. Would you agree? Is that kind of what you've been thinking about?
Well, hopefully you learn something as an entrepreneur from project to project. I sure hope so, because you tend to make new mistakes. So if you're making the old mistakes too, that's really going to be difficult. The very first company I started, you may recall, was called Hot Links, and it was sort of like Delicious, but several years before Delicious. And I did learn something. This was back during the dot-com boom. I did learn that people do not want to do work, and that regular people don't organize their stuff. Regular people just have every photo they've ever been sent on their desktop and all their emails in one Hotmail folder, and they don't really organize things. So, because we had this vision that people were going to take their bookmarks and favorites from Netscape and Internet Explorer and turn them into these wonderful Yahoo-style directories that they would share with people. And we just found that most people didn't really have their stuff organized. And so the idea of people sharing links with each other was a fantastic idea. But doing it as bookmarking was a little bit too nerdy. So I think since then I tried to, realize that I had to make things simpler. And then with Friendster, it was pretty simple. And to this day, saying, is this person your friend? Yes, no, on Facebook is not perfect because it's a little clumsy and it lacks a little nuance. But every person who copied Friendster and tried to make it more complicated and tried to have you rate your friends and categories of your friends and all those things, that didn't work. So this simple approach was the one that worked. So, and I've extended that now into Nuzzel. Like I said, I think most previous personalization and aggregation projects that have come out of Silicon Valley have been really complicated. And we've tried to create something that is really simple. And that's just, I think, completely informs everything we've done with Nuzzel. And it's a very, very different product, and it's a very different, I think, vision. We're trying to save people time and give you just the stuff you need to know about. We're not trying to say, spend tons of time customizing it and then spend 5 hours a day in Nuzzel. We're trying to say, use this to just get the stuff you really need to know, just solve your overload. So simplicity has been a big part of it. But of course, creating a simple product is actually not simple. It's actually really hard.
We're talking with Jonathan Abrams. It's This Week in Google, not normally an interview show, but it's hard not to talk to Jonathan like an interview because you want to know more, especially with a product that I use day in, day out, and apparently know nothing about. But in a way, you've been
using it fine. I actually checked.
But what's great is, and I think Twitter could learn from this. The out of the box experience is fabulous, and you don't, And then I guess if you're motivated, you could press the discover button and, start to dig a little bit deeper. If anything, you made it too good out of the box. I mean, there's no incentive to go any farther.
Well, the fact that you're not using the Discover features yet, which only launched a couple months ago,
is not
really a problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Leo, you're using Nuzzel around 4 to 5 days a week, week after week after week after week. That's pretty good. I don't think we'd say that we're disappointed in that level of usage.
I don't use it on my days off. That's all. Every other day, that's one of my news beat checks. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No problem. Let me ask you an unfair question. What would you do if you owned Twitter?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Think about it. I'm going to give you a minute to think about it because that is a great question. And I like it. Hold on. This is time for a commercial.
We're going to pay for
That's
this.
a tease. Jonathan Abrams is here. Jeff Jarvis in his brand new studio. We're still working out some of the bugs, but I think it looks awfully good. It's pretty darn impressive. The lighting is perfect. You obviously have professional gaffers there at
we have professionals in television like crazy, yes.
Yeah.
They run CUNY TV, and they run the studio, and they're great.
And you got a Neumann mic, and you're actually living quite large there. It looks fabulous. Thank you to all of the people there at CUNY for setting that up. Thanks to Sarah, the dean of the, is it Tau or Toe, or how do you pronounce that school?
Town Night
School of Journalism. Town Night School of Journalism, which is...
No, it's the Town Night Center at the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, just to be...
I knew I'd get it wrong. No, let's get it right. The Town Night Center at the
Yes.
CUNY School of Journalism.
Yes.
In New York City, in Times Square.
Yeah, at the center of the universe. Unlike you wimps out there where you live in Lotus Land, we get real things done here.
I'm surprised you're even in. I thought that the whole town was shut down.
No, we're tough.
Does a path work when the snow is heavy? Yeah.
Well, they shut down part of it, but it's fine now.
Okay. I'm glad.
I was delayed getting back from Zurich by a day.
Oh, that's right. You had we were worried about that last week. You thought you might be stuck in Zurich. Oh, you had to have fun, dude.
Yeah, Sunday, nothing's open. Nothing is open. But I had some good meals.
It looks like you did. I saw some pictures. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with more with our great panel. And this week in Google, our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. As you know, if you're in business, your company is made up of the people who work in it. A good employee can shoot you to the moon. A bad employee could shoot you down. ZipRecruiter takes that tough job and makes it a lot easier, so you're going to get the best people in your business. Go to ZipRecruiter.com. With a single click of the mouse, you'll be posting on 100-plus job sites, all the social networks too. You're also going to be exposed to 6 million current resumes, people who have applied at ZipRecruiter. So you can immediately, within 24 hours, you're going to be getting lots of good applicants. Now, here's the beauty part. They don't call your phone. They don't flood your inbox. They come into the ZipRecruiter interface where you can quickly screen out the ones that just don't have the qualifications or you don't match your needs, rank the rest, hire the right person fast. It is amazing. That's why more than 400,000 businesses have used ZipRecruiter. You could try it right now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twig. We got an email from Dan who heard about it on Twitter. He says, the hardest part about running a business when you need to hire is that you have to spend extra time recruiting right when you're short-staffed, right? But with ZipRecruiter, I've gotten quality candidates within 24 hours of posting a job. ZipRecruiter's website makes this process so much faster by letting me manage candidates in one place. It's exactly what I was saying. Hire the right person fast right now at ZipRecruiter.com/twig. A 4-day trial awaits. Free. You'll have somebody in 4 days easily. What is that number? 98 million. Scroll down there. 98,851,545 candidate applications delivered. This is the internet. This is how the internet is changing the world. It's stuff like this. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. Take that painful but important process and make it easy. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. You're listening to This Week in Google. I'm Leo Laporte with Jonathan Abrams of Nuzzel. Jeff Jarvis. This all started because we were talking about AMP, as we have many times on this show. Jonathan heard the show. We said, Leo, you got some things wrong. We went back and forth a little bit. And then Jeff said, well, we got to get Jonathan on the show to talk about it. Jonathan's interest is because Nuzzel, and as we mentioned when we were talking about AMP, is one of the first places you could see Google's accelerated, what does the M stand for? Pages. Accelerated mobile pages in the real world. And in fact, AMP is about to launch for real in February, but somehow Jonathan has an inside track.
Because it's an open, right, Jonathan? It's an open standard, so you just started using it, right? You found content that fits and you implemented.
Well, once Facebook announced instant articles, we thought having news stories load really quickly on mobile phones instead of being awful and slow sounds great.
Yep.
But it shouldn't just be fast in Facebook. It should be fast in Nuzzel, LinkedIn, Twitter, Gmail, Pocket. It should be, that sounds great, but that should work in everything. So the idea that publishers should publish into proprietary Nuzzel CMS, not really realistic since we're not a giant company yet like Apple or Facebook. But even if we were, Nuzzel supports the long tail. We have users all over the world. So even though we haven't translated our app outside of English, we have people who use it in all these countries. They're seeing content from other countries. I mean, we're not, Nuzzel would not work if it only worked with like the top 10 newspapers and like that. So Nuzzel supports a long tail of content. Whatever the people that you follow are sharing, that's what is being shown to you. So it really has to be an open web approach. So we came up with an idea of something analogous to Facebook Instant Articles, but based on HTML and HTTP, where there'd be a meta tag and would point to an alternate version that you just load via HTTP, and any compliant client could just discover it.
Oh, so you were you were ready for this.
We were.
You were champing at the bit for this.
So we had an idea that because of the way Nuzzel really is in some ways open itself, it had to be something very similar to AMP. Then we heard from some people about AMP, and we said, well, that's pretty much exactly what we had been imagining ourselves. Nuzzel, of course, not nearly has the resources of Google. So the fact that Google was already working with all these publishers on something that was pretty much what we had thought we needed was a great, happy coincidence. So then we got involved in the AMP project prior to the the unveiling of it, and we said, we're sort of a pretty nimble, technical startup team. We can just have our Android and iPhone app supporting this the minute that the project is unveiled. And we did that because some of the newspapers that were early partners on the publishing side were already publishing AMP pages. And we started coding it up, and it worked. So as of the day, I forget when that was. It was a few months ago. Was it September? I can't remember exactly when it was. But as of the day,
October, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So the AMP project was unveiled by Google, and there were 5 or 6 tech partners, and it was like Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, WordPress, huge multi-billion-dollar companies, and Nuzzel. And we were the only ones, the only teeny little startup included that early, but we were also the only ones that actually, as of that moment, were displaying AMP content live in our app. So we've already had it actually working since the day the project was unveiled, and we've been super excited to be part of it. And we're still in further talks with Google about how to use more of Google's technologies that are related to AMP.
So we
like what, Jonathan?
Go ahead.
So I think the next stage is using Google's cache.
Yes, right. Which they've offered, and basically they become your CDN for free if you use AMP content, right?
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
I mean, I told the story on the show here when I came back from the Google Newsgeist in Helsinki, where instant articles had just been announced, and I was among those who said loudly, Google, you should do an open source version of this, and I wrote about it. Jonathan contacted me immediately and said, we're working on something like that.
Neat.
Let's get people together. And I didn't think Google was going to do it at first, and by God, they turned around and they did it in, I think, 9 months, which even though Google has tons of resources for a big, huge company, that was fast. And then Jonathan was that, as he said, that day, it's how I can demonstrate AMP to people around the world is to show them Nuzzel.
Yeah, so we were thrilled to be part of it. And, it's only, I think, going to get even better as some of the additional technologies come online.
So did you work at all with Google on what AMP ended up being? Did they consult?
I think most of the consultation so far was with publishers, because the publishers were the ones that, really had to make a lot of changes on their end to how they're doing things, and then figure out ways to make sure that all of their needs for tracking and analytics and revenue and all those kind of things were being supported. So I think that's logically been the big focus of it. In terms of the client side, that's lagging behind. Google themselves is, I think, going to start integrating this in, I think it's February, and I think Pinterest and Twitter and LinkedIn, still are it's coming up. So we were pretty quick on that side, but for the most part, there wasn't really a lot of changes that we needed, to be honest. Google has now given us details about the caching API and asked for our feedback about that, and that's something we're looking at right now.
The publishers are worried, but some of them were worried about paywalls and how to handle that. The day after the last show, last Thursday, there was a meeting of the founding publishers and Google, the Digital News Initiative, where this really kind of launched a year ago at Davos. And so this was a progress report of where we are, and it's really moved well, and everybody's pretty excited about where this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring up, well, first of all, let me demonstrate it. So just so we can see the value of it. So this is Nuzzel on Android, which, by the way, is you did it on iOS first, you did it on Android. It's just great. I usually do it on the web because I'm sitting down at breakfast going through news stories before our day begins. But if I ever have to read news on my mobile, it's a really great way to do it. Now, I won't see it on the web, right? I won't see AMP on the web. I'll only see it on my mobile. Is that right?
and certainly Nuzzel, we're only showing it in our Android and iPhone apps.
It only makes sense. Well, it doesn't only make sense, but it makes most sense in a mobile environment. Yeah. But typically on a desktop, you're connected to a fast internet connection. You're not going to see the difference. In fact, here you won't either.
Google is going to show AMP content only on mobile.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily within an app. I think if you go to Google search within a browser on mobile, I think they're going to show it.
That's right.
So what Nuzzel does with AMP content in mobile browsers, that's an open issue.
So which
but
publisher?
Most of our mobile users are probably using our Android or iPhone app.
Which publisher should I open? How many of these are amped? The Times is amped, right?
I think so, yeah. They should be. It should flash a lightning bolt.
Let's see if it flashes a lightning bolt. It didn't.
Try The Guardian, try Washington Post.
The Guardian or the Post? Let's see if I can find one of those in my my feed here. Let's do another Times article. Yeah. Did you saw that?
There you go.
Okay, and so
sign in.
Paywall. But that's an interesting thing. AMP actually worked hard to make sure paywalls were honored, even through a cache, I guess, right?
Well, we're currently not using the Google Cache yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're supporting the paywall then
But, you know, AMP making the mobile content load quick and paywalls are really orthogonal issues.
I see. Okay. The paywall's just going to work. I'll log into my Times account in a second. I don't know why it's not logged in here. I'm trying to find something that is amped.
Because they log you out with some regularity.
They seem to, don't they?
Peeves me.
Yeah. I seem to log. Well, you know, I can log in pretty quick. Let me try it again. You know what? They didn't require a login for the public editors post. So I'm thinking they want the public to see that. And that was also not amped.
I think blogs. There's no login for blogs.
That's what it is. Okay. And they didn't amp blogs, apparently. Yeah. So you get a lightning bolt that loads faster. I'm not one of those people who notices a big difference because I'm usually on a fast connection. And the sites I'm going to are not the junked up sites that have lots of crappy ads, but those are probably not amped anyway.
Well, people have definitely noticed the difference. I mean, we've had people tweet like, "Oh my God, it's so much faster." Yeah. And the funny thing is, we're not yet doing the caching or prefetch, which would be probably enabled by using the caching. So even with just avoiding loading hundreds of megabytes of multiple redundant JavaScript libraries, just that part alone, people absolutely have noticed the speed difference and tweeted about it.
It's kind of weird because the button doesn't work for login. I don't know why, but maybe that's a side effect of trying to run this through an AMP system. So here's my issue.
It looks like New York Times has changed their paywall a little bit, just very recently.
Right, so it's not been tested. So here's kind of my issue. The thing that concerns me is, you know, when I hear that image tags are different, Google has specified a new way of doing image tags. JavaScript is only allowed if Google allows it, and certain snippets are allowed, and not, and many, many, many more are not. Well, everything else is not. It is. I understand the desire to do this and the value of it for users, but I worry that Google has invented a new kind of HTML without the involvement of standards bodies, just by talking to publishers, that is in effect, and this is what I said in the tweet, forking the web. So I wanted to give you a chance, A, to tell me what I got wrong, because that was your initial tweet, and B, is that not the case?
I don't think it's the case because it's not really a fork of the web. I mean, the reality is AMP is the web. It is a alternate HTML file, still HTML, still loaded via HTTP, and essentially it's just trying to standardize things more. So instead of all these different publishers having their own set of redundant bloated JavaScript libraries, Google's saying here is a single runtime that we're going to try to make solve all these needs and then address the bloat problem that's been causing so much problems for people on their mobile devices. And it is an open project. I mean, there's a GitHub repo, and whether you're on the client side or the publisher side, you can go and contribute and talk to them about that. Whether someday it becomes part of a standard thing, I don't know. I doubt Google would be opposed to that. But even now, it really is more open than any of the alternatives. And the alternatives are some of these closed platforms from some of these other big companies. And, the reality is if Nuzzel wanted to say, okay, publishers already publishing their content for Apple News or Facebook Instant Articles, great, let's just show that in Nuzzel. We can't do that. So that to me is really not open. Whereas AMP is something that we were able to be part of. And if publishers publish their stuff in AMP, if somebody in Croatia publishes something in AMP, and then some startup in New York builds some new app that supports AMP, to companies that have never even heard of, it's just going to work. So that
that's true of any fork. As soon as somebody supports it, but look what's prohibited.
Well, but Leo, let me try this on you. I think the difference is that a fork would mean that you'd be cut out and you couldn't use it.
No, not at all. That's not what a fork means. A fork means that you take so it would fork HTML. That you have a standard, and then Google's decided that instead of image, we'll use AMP. It's not a subset. It's a replacement.
It's not really. So HTML 4.0, I mean, that was kind of like a fork of HTML.
Yeah, but that was W3C proposed. That was through a standards body. The HTML has evolved. I don't have a problem with it evolving. But
the reality is Microsoft and Netscape and all those companies did fork HTML and added proprietary things that eventually flowed back into standards. In this case, Google's not even doing that. In this case, AMP is really simply just an HTML page. It is here's a JavaScript library that you can run in a standard browser in a standard HTML page instead of a proprietary JavaScript library from a publisher or one from all these different analytics and ad companies. It's a standard one, but it's still JavaScript running on an HTML page. It's not really a new kind of HTML, really.
Well, you can't use IMG. You have to use AMP-IMG. You can't use object, param, applet, embed, form, prohibited.
You can use whatever you want to use.
But it won't be an AMP page.
It's just not going to be as fast.
No, it won't be an AMP page.
Yes, you can do whatever you want, but it's not an AMP page. But being an AMP page...
Yeah, here's where it becomes a problem.
And remember, this is the idea is that the AMP page is a alternative version of something that exists in regular HTML.
An alternative version that is from Google and is promoted in the Google search results. That's not, to me, the same thing.
They don't favor AMP per se. They don't favor AMP per se. They do favor speed, and AMP is fast, but they don't favor AMP per se.
So if somebody came out with
that's a difference, a distinction within a difference.
Their own AMP-like, faster way of doing things, that would also get the benefit to Google's search rankings. But it really isn't. Technically, it's not a fork. Technically, it really just is an HTML page with a. But it's like using jQuery instead of rewriting your own jQuery-like library. This time, it's it's something that's been provided, but is open because there is a GitHub repo and people can go in there and see it all and contribute. But I think it's also important to think about this in the context of the different realistic options. So, option one is these proprietary platforms, which really are going back to like the CompuServe and AOL days, these truly closed platforms. Option two is that everybody just starts using ad blockers or using the reader mode in Safari or Firefox and stripping all the branding and business model stuff out of the pages because they're just so frustrated by all the bloat and the problems. And I don't think those are really great options.
Okay.
What's your Leo? What's your worst fear of what AMP does?
This is a land grab by Google, plain and simple. Because Google approved advertising is allowed. Google approved JavaScript is allowed. Google favors AMP results for whatever reasons in its browser.
But if this is a land grab, what about Apple News or Facebook Instant Articles?
I don't disagree that those are a land grab, but those live in Apple environment and Facebook environment. I think it's a mistake to say, well, there's a worse thing out there. Yes, there's a worse thing out there. There are lots of worse things, including CompuServe. But that doesn't mean this is different because it's from Google. And it's, quote, open, as many Google, quote, open source projects like Android are supposedly somewhat open. This is Google, and it's Google-driven. And I understand Google was terrified about ad blockers because they're basically an ad project. That's their business. And so their response is, well, instead of fixing ad tech, we're just gonna have our own little thing and block all the bad ad tech. Although I notice Outbrain and Taboola are right in there.
Well, I think they are trying to fix ad tech by standardizing things. I think that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think the best way to fix ad tech is to block it.
Well,
now, I think for you, Jonathan, I think this is a great boon to Nuzzel, because that means Nuzzel is Nuzzel, to the degree that the articles I read in Nuzzel are AMP. Much better experience. Much better experience.
Well, here's the thing. You feel like you don't leave Nuzzel.
It's a better experience for the publishers. It's a better experience for the end users. It's a better experience for any other apps that implement it. And it's certainly, I think, a better experience for everybody than people simply using an ad blocker or a reader mode to strip out everything. That's not good for anybody, really.
Right. Well, it doesn't solve... yeah, okay. It doesn't really solve that. People are going to still use ad blockers, I hate to tell you, because most of the stuff they visit is going to be...
Well, you don't... If you're getting a page that has ads, but it's not super slow, and it's not ridiculous ads, and it's not annoying with pop-ups and interstitial... I mean, it's a reasonable amount of ads, then you're probably not going to need to use an ad blocker.
Well, but this is always going to be a subset of the web that I'm surfing, right? Or is it going to be the future?
No,
is this the future of the web?
The entire web. No, that's the difference, Leo. You will see the entire web. It's just some pages will be faster than other pages, which is true today.
And those horrible pages that are full of ads, I will still see, and so I will still use an ad blocker.
Well, if Facebook, no, I guess not Facebook, but if Nuzzel, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Gmail, Pocket all end up supporting AMP, then I think publishers who end up not publishing an AMP version of their page would be pretty silly. So if this works, it may be that the bulk of what's out there does end up being published as AMP.
That's Leo's point about a land grab, though.
Well, I'm not really sure. If Nuzzel and Pinterest and WordPress and LinkedIn and Twitter and all of us all get to participate in it equally, I'm kind of not sure who's grabbing the land. I mean, if it's when the content is being published into proprietary Apple or Facebook system, it's pretty clear who's benefiting and who's not.
How about if I just want to use HTML, HTML as proposed by the W3C?
You can use it.
Yeah, but am I not going to be at a disadvantage?
Well, I think you're already
if you
at a
have a slow page, you're at a disadvantage.
If you have a really slow, crappy experience, which a lot of people do, unfortunately, then people are getting frustrated.
What if I have a nice, fast page?
And that's why they're resorting to ad blockers. And ad blockers are obviously really bad for publishers.
Right. Okay. I mean we disagree on this, but I think I've made my point. The good news is this is doomed, but other than that, I think it's it's going to be great. Because I don't see a lot. I mean, the big publishers obviously have jumped right on the bandwagon. Do you think everybody's going to just say, "Hey, I got to make 2 pages now, one AMP, one not AMP. This is great. I can't wait to do that." Is that the future we envision?
Sorry, I was just running low on my battery and asking somebody to bring me a charger.
Bring him a charger while you get a charger.
Sorry,
we'll take a break. No, that's all right. We'll talk about it later. I'll take a break. Get a charger. We are
to do a commercial.
Yes. So block this, if you will. I don't know why AMP gets me upset, but I'm more and more upset. I wasn't as upset initially. Now I'm thinking it's a terrible idea because I really, see Google does stuff and they say, well, from an engineering point of view, this makes perfect sense. This is, of course, what could be wrong with speeding up the net? But that's why there's standards bodies. I think it's a good thing. Now, admittedly, a lot of these standards bodies are run basically by a bunch of big companies.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, let's take a break. Our show today brought to you by Snacks. That's what I need. I'm just, I need I'm low blood sugar, but I'm not going to eat one of them sugar-filled candy bars. No, maybe I'll have something delicious. Oh, look at this. Like cranberry medley. See, this is good for you. This is pomegranate and acai-flavored dried cranberries and blueberries. Wow. When hunger strikes, don't reach for the junk food. Be prepared with smart and delicious snacks from NatureBox. All of NatureBox snacks are made with high-quality ingredients you can trust. I love these. I live on these garden tomato crunchies. These are it's kind of an interesting idea. I think they must have some mad scientists in the NatureBox kitchens. This is tomato-flavored almonds, but they're so good. They're really good. And talk about flavor. Trying to eat healthier doesn't mean having to give up on flavor. They've got vegan alternatives, no sugar-added alternatives, non-GMO options. You can choose between sweet and savory, salty and tart. I've got the salt and pepper spiced pistachio nuts here. Choose from over 100 unique and tasty options. I'd like to be in their kitchens, like blueberry almond quinoa bites, coffee kettle popcorn. All of this stuff is so good. Plus, you can fill out your snack profile, and you'll get recommendations personalized to your preferences. And NatureBox delivers right to you every month. It's a subscription. We got a great deal for you. Visit naturebox.com/twit. You'll get half off your first box right now. Great way to try NatureBox. But I got to warn you, these are addictive. They're so good.
I'm going to try it.
It is so awesome.
Oh, it's the greatest.
Naturebox.com/twit. My mouth, I can't do these ads. My mouth waters.
So on the last show, I ungraciously complained about the bait and switch of getting my Fez in a NatureBox box with no NatureBox in the box. And so what should arrive from Twit? NatureBox.
Well, we don't want you to be unhappy. We don't do bait and switch.
I was very happy. Very happy.
NatureBox.com/twit. Get 50% off your first box right now. I love this. Thanks to Nuzzel. I love these, some of the articles that are showing up, like the New York Times article. And actually, I was curious what you thought about it. Trying to interview Google's co-founder, it's emasculating, writes Connor Doherty. You've interviewed Larry more than a few times, Jeff Jarvis.
No, I've never interviewed him.
You haven't, really?
Larry.
So you never got emasculated by the process, I guess.
But though actually no, this is trying to. He doesn't, and it's journalists complain about how they can't do their job is not a sympathetic genre to me.
Yeah, it looks like this is from the Insider though, so we shouldn't blame it because this is that thing you pay extra for to get kind of insight into how the sausage is made. So it's not. This was not like in the paper. I hope.
Oh, I see. Right.
I find the distinction kind of funny. I mean, the fact that the New York Times still has this distinction between the blog and the Insider and the regular paper, it's 2016. I mean, those distinctions,
Are you saying they're forking the New York Times? I think they're trying stuff is what they are. It's tough to have to have a paywall, isn't it? And so they're trying to figure out, what will people pay for?
Sorry. They're splitting it up on the basis of their content and their needs rather than our needs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
here's the world.
I talk to a lot of publishers who are interested in Nuzzel and potentially working with us. And, it's kind of funny when somebody's title is the VP of Digital at a newspaper. I just kind of think that's funny in 2016. And the New York Times, there's a lot of smart people there. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. But the concept of still what's going to be in paper versus not, I just think is just kind of funny to still think about that so much in 2016. The headline bothers me.
If
you were a woman trying to interview Google's co-founder, would you also be emasculated? What is that? I don't even know what that means.
Is that a joke about his wasn't it Larry's, was it Larry or Sergey who talked about the phone being emasculated?
Oh, that's where that's coming from. That sounds more like
very inside.
Yes. That's okay. So now see, I'm even inside and you're right. That's obviously what that is. This is the paragraph I like. Whenever someone asks me what I do at the Times, and I tell them I cover Google, the result is often a confused stare. That's it? That's a beat?
This is a show?
This is a show?
This is all we do?
We do a show on Google? What? That's it? All right. No more on that.
I was going to ask, why is there not a This Week in Twitter show?
There could be. In fact, thank you for reminding me, because Jeff posed an interesting question, and we've given you some time and a battery to think about it. What would you do? What would Twitter do? What would you do with Twitter right now?
Well, we do a lot of stuff with Twitter already with Nuzzel, and I think
you kind of built on Twitter initially, right?
Yeah, and I think as we're going forward, we've been adding a lot more stuff. I mean, we added partnership. We were one of Slack's first integration partners, and we're going to be launching more of those in 2016. But even though I invented a lot of the features of Facebook, Twitter is kind of where I go first and sort of where I live online these days personally. I love Twitter, and I am one of those people who engages in a lot of sort of conversations with Nuzzle's users on Twitter, with investors, with users, with journalists, and I love Twitter. Jeff, I think asked what would I do if I owned Twitter, but did you really mean what would I do if I was in charge? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. Because poor Twitter is confused. It lost another handful of executives this week. One going to become chief of product at Instagram. Lost Katie Stanton, who was in charge of media and other things. There's been a constant round robin. People are constantly wondering what it is. The stock value is down. I use Twitter too. The world doesn't. There was a discussion before about Twitter being too hard. So you've built a beautiful, elegant, simple product, as you talked about. It's simple, and Twitter, in a sense, should be the simplest thing in the world, but it's not. What would you do with the company? That's kind of What would you?
Well,
what if you were in charge of the
300 million
product?
people are using Twitter, which is actually a huge amount. So when people say, "Oh, nobody's using Twitter," that's obviously not true at all. 300 million people is huge. What's going on is they're being compared to Facebook, which has even more. So the question is not, are not a lot of people are using Twitter. A lot of people are using Twitter, but now people are like, okay, how could it be instead of 300 million? How could it be 1 billion? And I do have ideas for that. I mean, one of the things that we're working on at Nuzzel, like I said, is figuring out ways that people who are not Twitter power users can benefit of our social curation approach. Because right now, if somebody loves Nuzzel and tells all their friends about it, because not everybody uses Twitter, a lot of those friends, for our old product, the one that you and Leo still use, they might not have been able to get the benefit from it. And one of the things that we've been really excited about is using Nuzzel to build newsletters, because everybody has email. And people being able to subscribe to the Leo Laporte or Jeff Jarvis newsletter and get really interesting content without having to, log in, set up, config, download, install anything, just an email address. We think that's really powerful. And I actually think that, that could be really cool for Twitter as well. I mean, there's all these celebrities on Twitter, and why isn't, there a Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or Katy Perry or Justin Bieber or Oprah newsletter? If you don't use Twitter and you go to Oprah or Donald Trump's Twitter page, I think it's a bit confusing right now exactly what's going on and how you can engage with that in a way that's a little easier than actually logging in and creating a Twitter account. So if you could subscribe and say, okay, give me the Donald Trump newsletter, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I like that. Or the Andreessen.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine this. Imagine if...
in effect, you just described Nuzzel.
Sure, but imagine if the top million... Imagine if the top million most famous people on Twitter each had a newsletter with 1,000 subscribers. You'd be sending 1 billion emails a day.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to imagine.
No.
I mean, how many people would sign up for the Donald Trump or the Hillary Clinton one alone? So I have a lot of ideas for Twitter, of course. I love Twitter. And, right now, Nuzzel has been doing all sorts of cool things with Twitter as well as with other services. I mean, if I had full access to all of Twitter's data unrestricted, I mean, we could probably do even more.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Twitter have a better relationship with developers and make the fire hose available. Do you use the Twitter API? How do you interact with Twitter?
We do use the Twitter API. We've gotten great support from Twitter. They've even, at times, done some fixes to the API to help Nuzzel, which we really appreciate. That being said, of course, there's still even more things that I'd like that are not necessarily, the only priority that they have. So, Twitter has been great and really supportive of Nuzzel, but I still don't have complete unlimited access to, all the data and technology that they have. So we could probably do even more.
Given Twitter's rocky relationship with third-party developers, Didn't it concern you a little bit building a business on top of Twitter's feeds?
The funny thing is, I think that the sort of miscommunications that happened a few years ago were more bark than bite. And in reality, the number of companies that Twitter cut off was probably not as much as the impression that, the confusion that stemmed from some of the blog posts that were written a few years back. And, the funny thing is, we've had harder problems working with some other companies than we've had with Twitter. And in our case, Twitter has been supportive and has helped us in a number of different ways. So we've had a really good relationship with Twitter, and we fortunately haven't had to be really concerned. And obviously now Jack has come out and said, hey, we're sorry for some of the miscommunication in the past. We really want to re-engage with developers, and I think that's great. In fact, they just announced a whole tour, sort of Hello World Developer Relations Twitter tour.
Good. That's very encouraging. But see, I feel like Twitter could look at you and say, gee, I like what Jonathan's come up here with, Nuzzel. We should do that. You're not worried about that. I guess it's really pretty far-fetched for them to do what you're doing.
Twitter has done some things. I mean, they had Discover, and they recently had Moments. Facebook has launched a bunch of stuff. There's lots of people. There's lots of people doing things in the world of news apps, discovery, curation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. But worrying about that too much is usually sort of beside the point. We're trying to figure out, how can we make sure that Nuzzel is doing things that a lot of people could use, and that's what we're focused on right now.
For one, I'm really surprised to hear that Twitter has advertisements in its feed. I was shocked.
Because you're one of the important guys who doesn't
Apparently, I don't get them. I do remember that day when there were advertisements in my Twitter feed, and then I saw an article the other day saying, important people don't get ads. And I went and I thought, you know what? I haven't had an ad in quite a while. I do see promoted trends. That's an ad, right? Apparently, moving on up is a promoted trend right now. But I
use only TweetDeck for Twitter.
So you don't see ads either, right?
I never see ads.
But what would these ads that I'm not seeing look like? Would they be in the stream? Would there be like, as Instagram does, we pause your stream for a moment to show you some content? Or I don't know where those ads are.
I don't see them either.
Yeah, I think you'd see promoted tweets right in your stream.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. We're very bad people to ask about this, apparently. What do you peons see? Do you see... I guess I should really stop right there. There's no percentage in this conversation. I'm a little worried.
I follow a lot of people, so I can't tell. I can't really keep up with my raw stream, so I look at I do a lot of searches. Yep. I look at my ad mentions. I use Nuzzel, so I'm on Twitter many times a day. But I'm sort of using it in different ways than just looking at my raw stream. But then again, I'm obviously not a normal user necessarily.
I posted my first poll.
I use only my MediaWalks list.
You do, yeah. I mean, I think we've all learned ways to use Twitter to our advantage, and that's probably part of the problem with Twitter, less to Twitter's advantage. I do note that Tommy Chong follows me on Twitter, and in fact, of the famous Cheech and Chong duo, he even tweeted, "We should all aspire to be as cool as Leo one day." Whoa. Okay.
But does he use Nuzzel?
No, who wouldn't? And then for the first time ever, used a Twitter poll, the Twitter poll thing. And
Even Donald Trump used a Twitter poll.
Yeah, I actually really liked it. Now that they have more than 2 choices, I asked what kind of a Tesla I should get, and the 2/3 majority out of 6,000 votes said get the Model X. So I did. I let the Twitterverse choose my new car with some constraints. Some constraints around it. Google
has a
has
sponsorship opportunity.
I blew it. Could have made some money there.
Well, Elon, driven a Ford or whoever would pay you to drive that car.
Yeah, well, As a matter of fact, Ford was a sponsor for several years, and I drove a Mustang during that time. But you know what I did? It was kind of I was completely speculative. When I was approached about advertising for Ford, I said, "Well, I don't know. Let me buy a Ford car, and I'll get back to you." So I didn't get a free Mustang or anything. I actually paid full retail for a Mustang, and they said, "Yes, I love this sync stuff. Let's do it." So and then continued to drive a Mustang for several years. I've moved on because so has Ford. No, that's not why. I realized I'm too old to be driving a sports car. This is the real reason.
Yeah.
Little worried about this. Hangouts 7 is being slowly rolled out. I don't think I have it yet, but it's slowly being rolled out to Android users. And I guess iOS users as well. And here's what I worry about. They're discouraging you from using it for text messaging. You actually, when you launch 7, they've added this notification quick reply, which is nice, but you already had that in messages on Android devices. And on the first launch of the new Hangouts 7, you'll see a pop-up that says, switch to Messenger for SMSing. There had been rumors for some time that Hangouts would eliminate text messaging. And now I'm really worried. Am I going to have to start using Google's Messages app on my Nexus? I did switch. I took their word for it. And there's a nice cat, which I love because I pay for Google Contributors, so I get lots of cats in my feeds. I'm impressed by the number of sites now using Google Contributor, by the way. I'm also seeing a lot of kitty cats. What do you think, Jeff? Are we worried about the loss of text message capability in Hangouts?
No, because I've been using Messenger. So
You have too.
Cool.
You switched.
Yeah.
When I got Fi, they said switch. Google's really pushing this.
So, Leo, I think Jonathan has an out.
Is it time to go, Jonathan?
Around, we can still chat.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, good. You know what?
I've got to run, but
we had a great time. Thank you so much for being
I've
here.
been really happy you were here,
I was going to get into specifically why they use a different kind of image tag in AMP, because we went down to Mountain View and met with
tell us.
His name is Bez, David Bezbriz.
Yes.
And he specifically talked about how the browsers have a contract for any image tag to absolutely show it, and there are technical reasons why not using the standard image tag ended up being technically useful for trying to do the things that they're doing with AMP. And, perhaps in the future, these things, maybe it will become an open standard and maybe slight changes to the browsers will be made to address that. Maybe it won't be needed forever. But there, some of the things that you were concerned about, there were, at least for now, specific technical reasons why they were using their own sort of version of the image tag.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey, it's great. Jonathan, it was great having you back. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Good work with Nuzzel, NUZZEL.com, available not only on the web but for iOS and Android, and really one of my I'm going to say my favorite news app. I have a beat check. I do Tech Meme, I do Hacker News from Y Combinator, and I do Nuzzel, and I feel like I'm seeing everything I want to see from those three. It's great. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Leo.
See you later. Yeah, I'm worried about this Hangouts thing, I have to say. But everybody's saying, oh, just use Messenger. You'll be happy.
Hangouts, I always had a problem with Hangouts, trying to figure out the what's in Hangouts, what's in SMS. The UI was never smooth enough for me. So I actually am happy to separate out messaging back to Messenger.
Okay. I'm just going to do it.
Weird, maybe.
Can you type /Shruggie in Messenger and get the Shruggie guy? Let me try. No. That's disappointing. Because you can in Hangouts.
Already you're unhappy. Already you're going back. It was 1 second and you're unhappy.
Everybody says, but it's material design, and you can embed all the things that you like in there, and the animated I don't think you do animated GIFs, but you can do stickers and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm worried because Hangouts how I get all of my text messages to all of my devices.
I know it is weird. Google put so much effort into Hangouts, and now they do seem to be deprecating it, as they did Google+.
Yeah.
Not killing it, but who knows?
Oh, well. I guess we'll just figure it out. But if you are still using Hangouts, try /Shruggie. I'm going to send you a Shruggie, Jason. Let's see if I can send you a Shruggie. Lately, Jason and I have been communicating more on Facebook Messenger, which
it seems to be the quickest way.
Is it the quickest way to reach me? Is that the issue?
No. It's just.
It's fast. It's good. Yeah. It's easy, and I can put.
Plus, the little bubble. You've got to deal with the message because the damn bubble's there.
Right. It definitely gets your attention.
It gets your attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm doing /Shruggie. Oh, it's nice.
I have no way to show it.
You can't see my screen?
Oh, wait. I can't see it on my side.
Oh, I can't send it to you. I'll send it to you. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I sent it to Gary. Let's send one to Jason Clanthus. Okay, here we go. You don't have to show it. Just show it on my screen.
Okay.
So here we go. /SHRUGGIE. That's the very complicated emoticon that is like, I don't even know. It's I don't even know how people do it.
The Shruggie? Yeah.
Can you show the Shruggie?
Yeah, I'm zooming in. I'm trying to get to it.
You don't want to show the rest of it. There you go. See? Well, I'll do it again. You'll understand, Jason, why you're getting all these Shruggies. If I send it to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, but now let's character count. /Shruggie, and then how many characters are
you
in
have
the
to figure out what these characters are. What is that character? I don't even know what that character is. That's a Japanese character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Shruggies.
Hover over it. It showed like a
Yeah, because I had it selected. It showed the date and time.
Oh, okay. That's funny. Shruggie.
I'm gonna do another one. Let's just shrug. Shruggie. You feel like there's a lot of these hidden in there that just Google isn't telling us. There's stuff that Google's not telling us about.
They know all the secrets.
So come on, guys. What else? You can now do donation cards on YouTube if you would like your viewers to support, not you, nonprofits. That's kind of cool. Now you and your viewers can make a genuine difference in the world, and it's popping up. You're missing the whole thing, Jason. I'm sorry. I'll back up. Okay. There it is. There it is. What are you trying to find your Shruggie? Is that what you're doing? I'm not going to send you any more Shruggies. All right, enough of that. Oh, you just sent me a Shruggie back. I heard it. Stop Shruggieing me. Moving on. Mark Zuckerberg back to work. That was a short short family leave.
He really took it. 2 months. That's more than most dads do in the world.
It is.
And you saw the picture of his closet.
Yeah, it's a little weird. He's got a lot of gray shirts.
He's got all gray shirts and blue hoodies.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, but what I want to know is, how does he pick? Is there a Thursday shirt and a Friday shirt?
Well, he says, first day back after paternity leave, what should I wear? I really like these guys like this because they're wasn't it Scott Fitzgerald who said the rich are not like you and me? They can get ideas that you and I might just float through our head like, I just wish all my clothes were the same and I wouldn't have to pick them, and they would float through my head and I would move on.
What I didn't know is
he says, hey, assistant, go out and buy 150 gray shirts and hoodies, put them in my closet. Give everything else to Goodwill. And it's done.
Hangers. No more wire hangers.
No, they're not wire. They're beautiful. And they're all lined up.
David Agus, the doctor to many stars, including Steve Jobs, said that on Howard Stern that Jobs convinced him to just wear black because Jobs said that if you wear the same thing every day, people won't pay attention to what you wear. They'll pay attention to what you say.
That's exactly right. When I took EST, I was told that...
You didn't.
Yeah, I loved EST. I know. I meant to talk to you about this because you were going on and on about Werner. When I took EST in it was 1978. I had a lime green bed, But I remember that the trainers were told to dress in a very neutral way so that you wouldn't be looking like, oh, what's he wearing? You wouldn't be looking at that. You'd be listening to the message. So this is, of course, this is absolutely true. That now I'm going to be looking at Mark's. I don't know. Do you have, when you have a lot of T-shirts, A, do you hang them up in your closet?
No.
And
that's
B,
what surprises me. I thought they'd be folded.
Do you have somebody, look carefully at these. Somebody has ironed them.
Also notice the...
And I'm guessing it's not Priscilla.
Also notice the exact separation in the hangers, equally separate from each other.
It's possible he did that for the Instagram. You know, like as people will. We don't see the rest of the room.
And are those the Facebook hoodies with the...
No, I don't think so.
They're brandless.
He wears hoodies. Yeah, I think
the
so.
hoodies are not ironed, but those T-shirts are conspicuously
You're right, those
creased.
T-shirts are ironed. Oh, I wonder whether the jeans are.
No one would wear ironed jeans.
Well, I've known people who do.
Somebody said, or they're new, and he just, okay, Fred's in the chat room says, maybe they're just new. Google is now going to, this can only end in tears. Fact check candidates.
No, they're not. They're not going to. They're going to enable you to fact check.
They'll let you
fact to that headline.
Oh, thank God.
Which is the way it exists now anyway. You can use Google to fact check.
It's called Googling the quote. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So they're doing that anyway. Although there is a fact check site that I like to, and who is it? Is the Post? Somebody's doing this on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
It's good. It's useful.
Plus, they're always reliable Snopes.
Yeah. Do they do fact checks on the
No,
debates?
they don't. But they do on Donald Trump.
You know what's going to be fascinating? So Trump has
outrageous
apparently decided not to. He doesn't like Megyn Kelly, and he refuses to participate in the debate tomorrow because because Fox refuses to take Megyn Kelly, as they should, has refused to take Megyn Kelly off the panel.
It was just a New Yorker headline that said that many Americans are perplexed by suddenly having the need to sympathize with Megyn Kelly.
But she's so pretty. But my question is, he says he's going to do an alternate event. Is he going to debate himself? Is he going to put cutouts of Ted Cruz up on the stage and say, Ted, you don't have much energy? What is...
Well, Jack Schaefer, the media critic, just said on Twitter that Trump has said so many contradicting things through the years, he could debate himself.
Ah, that's an interesting thought. I'd like to debate myself from 1989 and 1992.
Am I great? Yes, I'm great. Well, then we agree. I'm great. I'm Trump. I'm the best. There's nobody like me. I'm Trump. I'm great.
You know what we didn't get from you is a Davos report. Kevin Spacey had some stuff to say at Davos.
Didn't see him.
He did an interview with TechCrunch. I guess Sarah Lane and the TechCrunch team was at Davos. He predicted that tech firms will follow Netflix into media. Now, Kevin knows a little bit about this because, of course, he elected to sell House of Cards not to HBO or one of the other big cable companies or networks, but to Netflix. And it was their biggest hit. Made them a lot of money, made him a lot of money, made everybody very happy. Kevin is very technically literate. He is he's absolutely a gadget hound and loves technology. And so I guess he says in the next few years, Silicon Valley is going to be much more involved in content. I would not.
Well, yeah, I think if you see at whatchamacallit, Film Festival in the snow.
Sundance.
Right now.
Sundance.
Thank you, Sundance. Big story about how both Netflix and Amazon were buying up all the films, and the distributors were not.
They're Cinderella at these events. They go, yes. They're writing checks.
And it occurred to me, too, that if you look at Apple's results, which we haven't talked about because they've been over-analyzed, but Apple's not really in the cloud. They're not really in social. And the other part that surprises me when you think about it is that why isn't Apple like Amazon or like Netflix making entertainment?
Well, that's what he says. I wouldn't be surprised if a big tech company would buy a studio. Apple has the money. Well, Apple has the money to buy everything. The richest, I mean, amazing, the success of it. It's so funny to watch the contrarians say, oh, yeah, well, sure, Apple had the most profitable quarter in American history of any company ever in the American history. $18 billion in profit in 3 months. But it's the end of the line. People were saying sell Apple stock because it's over.
Amazon Studios has started producing its own content.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess that counts. There's a lot of good content coming out of Amazon, but I think he's thinking, what he's thinking.
iPhone growth 1% in revenue, 0% in units. iPad down 25% in units. Mac down 4% in units. America
what
down
happens?
4%.
At
Japanese
some point,
down 12%.
You sell a phone to every person on the planet, and there's nowhere else to go.
No, I don't buy that. Leo, how many phones have you bought this year?
Oh my God, I'm not the poster boy for that. I have 5 numbers in active at all times. My wife asked me, how many phones do you have? And I actually had to count them. I have a BlackBerry Priv. I have a Note 5. I have a Nexus 6P. That's my Google Fi. I have an iPhone. I'm missing one. But the reason I rotate the newest stuff through, because I have 5 numbers.
Yeah, sure.
Google Fi, two numbers with AT&T.
Do you know all your
2
numbers?
with T-Mobile. Yeah. You know what? That's why I love Hangouts. That's why I love Google Voice.
Got it.
And that's why I have 5, because that's the most numbers you can have. Actually, I could have one more because Google Fi doesn't count against your total. So I could have one more. By the way, good time if you want to buy a Nexus phone. Google's clearing them out. They're blowing it out to the bare walls. The Nexus 5X, now $299. And I understand the 6P for the first time is going to go on sale as well.
Valentine's Day promotion. Oh, hi, honey. I love you so much. I bought you a Nexus.
I bought you a ugly phone.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that leads to
romance.
A great night of love.
Yes. Honey, you bought me a phone. Now, some people would be happy.
Yeah.
You know what? You want Whoopi? Buy her an iPhone. Be honest with you. Get her a gold iPhone. No Nexus phone ever got anybody.
No Nexus. Certainly not a BlackBerry, God forbid.
No. Well, the Priv is pretty nice. I like the Priv.
Sexy, it's not.
But sexy.
So Davos, I did give you a report, but I did write a piece on Medium today in which I argued that this is the post-Snowden Davos. That when I thought back over the week there, the ways in which he came up constantly was just amazing in discussions of cybersecurity and encryption and security and growth and privacy. And it's as if he was there already as a policymaker. So I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah. So was it worth going?
Yeah, because the mockers are there, and I see my media people, and I went to the Google Digital News Initiative meeting, and I saw Facebook had its big pavilion, and I saw Sheryl Sandberg and other executives there. So yeah, sure, you get invited, you go.
Yeah.
You go.
Oh, you have to get invited. You can't just show up and say, I'm here.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. You have to have, I have next year's secret handshake, so,
How many Davoses in a row have you been to?
10.
10. It's the World Economic Forum. We call it Davos because that's where it's held, but it's the World Economic Forum. And who runs it and why?
Klaus Schwab, who's a German professor now in Switzerland, and he runs it to bring together the world's leaders and to try to improve the world. And they mean that. They really do mean that. They convene people. I sat in one session about the fractured internet in which the U.S. Secretary of Commerce and the UK Vice President involved over digital stuff. They're the ones who were really negotiating the safe harbor agreement, and there Steve Adler, the editor of Reuters, pushed them hard because there's only a week left on this, and if it expires, we're all messed up. And Davos can do that. They can bring together these important people, these mockers, and kind of bang their heads together and make them do things. And sometimes it happens. So it's worth it. I think you can make fun of the attendants who are there. You can make fun of the rich people who are there. But Davos, the World Economic Forum itself, I honestly do believe does all in all good work. I ran a session they have a group of young people called the Global Shapers, slightly odd name, but fine. And I ran a session on future life in cities, and there were people I was doing Skype. It was like Twig from India and Pakistan and Russia and somewhere else, and the young people who are doing amazing things in their cities and talking. That's what the forum does. So I'll defend the forum.
Oh, I don't think you have to. I think it sounds awesome.
But you see, a lot of people will attack it as the 1% and all that. But when you see Jamie Dimon having just gotten a huge raise over at the other side of the Google party, you do kind of sneer a little bit. I admit that.
You know, people say that about the Bohemian Grove, too, that it's just a bunch of rich people running the world. And in
Do you
private.
go to Bohemian Grove?
I've been. Once. I've been once. Peed on a tree with George Schultz, that kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
No, a friend of mine many years ago, I know a few members. So the Bohemian Club is interesting. They have this grove up in Northern California, and people are always protesting out front during their annual summer retreat because that's exactly the point. They say, this is this is the smoke-filled room, only it's among the redwoods where the rich and the powerful are planning our destiny without our input. And it is, rich people, but it's also artists because it was originally conceived by artists, by bohemians, to be a get-together. And they now, to this day, because they do plays in which men dressed as women feature prominently, so that gives you some idea of how dumb it is. And they have to have talented artists in the group, so they, scholarship in performers and musicians and lots of creatives. And then the paid members pay, some huge amount of money. But a friend of mine, Will Hurst, you would think if you're William Randolph Hearst III, you would just get in, right? You send him a check and, can I be in? He waited for like 30 years to get in. Somebody had to die before he could get in. Yeah, I was surprised. I remember Will saying, hey, I just got into the Bohemian Club. I said, wait a minute. You weren't in before? Weren't you grandfathered in, so to speak? No. So it's hard to get in. It's very expensive. But I know a guy. He said, this is back in the beginning. You're an internet guru. We don't know about this internet. Would you come and speak at the Grove? So I did. But I don't think Davos is anything like that. In fact, it's more like TED, isn't it? Sounds like.
No.
No.
No. TED is. Well, I won't get in trouble.
Now, TED is elitist. We were talking about how San Francisco is becoming the center of the tech world. That's Jason's quote. But in fact, he's wrong. Robert Scoble says it's not Silicon Valley. It's Champaign, Illinois, and Blacksburg, Virginia.
And Scoble would know because, as he says in the lead,
yeah, I'm known as one of Silicon Valley's
top tech influencers.
So the winner is Champaign, Illinois, and Blacksburg, Virginia. Congratulations.
Well, it's where the Netscape browser came from, Champaign.
The NCSA, absolutely, the National Center for Supercomputing Applications at the University of Chicago, Urbana, or maybe it's Champaign, is certainly a hive of tech innovation. But so is MIT. So, yeah. I mean, there are lots of places. Over 5 million cardboard viewers were shipped. I'm guessing about 20% of that with the Sunday Times.
I think it was 1 million. Yeah, I think you're about right.
Yep. 1,000 plus VR apps. I hope I'm not stealing any numbers from you. This is a blog post from Clay Baver, who's the new VR guy at Google. They don't make money on cardboard, I don't think, but it certainly promotes the widespread use of immersive video, as you would say, not virtual reality. Verizon spent $70 million. Some of that from you, Jeff Jarvis.
Verizon and I are now divorced.
Yay. Who'd you go with?
Verizon and I are now divorced.
Who'd you go with?
I've got AT&T.
Okay, that's fair. They're all bad.
Yeah.
Verizon spent $70 million to triple the LTE capacity in San Francisco ahead of the Super Bowl. Now I want a Verizon phone. Be glad you're not in the city, Jeff. I hear it's insane.
Ugh.
Insane. They built 16 new area cell sites. They installed 75 small cells. They're putting in, it's funny because they already were a big part of Levi Stadium, the Santa Clara Stadium for the 49ers, where the game is going to be held. But they put in even more antennas to reach the lower stadium seats and increase peak download speeds. And they added 37 XLTE connections to existing sites. Wow. During the Super Bowl last year, I didn't know this. During the Super Bowl last year, Verizon customers used 4.1 terabytes of data. They can handle double the capacity. That's actually not that much.
No.
I think we have something like that every day in our downloads.
Wow.
Yeah, we do a petabyte a month.
Wow. And do you pay for this?
Shh.
Oh, sorry.
They haven't asked for a check yet.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for the bill.
They're wonderful, aren't they?
Yes, thank you, CashFly. Thank you, CashFly. We love CashFly. CashFly.com.
No, that's what I tell people. CashFly is supports this network in
they
an
really
important
do.
way. Yeah.
Well, it's a trade because they get an ad in every single show. I mean,
every show, and I tell people CashFly is the place because of that.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've been told that it does work. That's why they're willing to give us a petabyte a month.
That's really impressive. It's incredibly impressive.
And I've learned the importance of paying bills because, our website went down, Jeff, because I missed a $44 charge.
No. For the domain?
No, that's the obvious one. And the Twit domain, I registered 10 years at a time. I'm not dumb. But there was this. So we have a very complicated setup. We have like 18 different. It's a complicated. There's a Drupal back end. There's a Node.js front end that's on Heroku. There's caching done by a variety of other sites, including Redis Labs. And Redis is very affordable. Redis Labs, our bill at Redis Labs is something, even though with all the traffic to the website, is only like $44 a month. It's $47 a month. It's very affordable. And it was, we had put it on Jeff Needles, when we set up the site, put it on a company credit card. And I forgot about it. And of course the credit card expired in September, and Redis Labs kept sending email saying, hey, can you update your credit card? And it just went in the email hole. And a couple of days ago, no, he didn't send it to Jeff Needles. I got it. I don't know where it went. I think a lot of people got it, but there's a lot of traffic, about the website. A lot of auto-generated emails, and I guess we all missed it. So they just said, "Well, okay, guess you don't want this anymore," and they turned it off. And I woke up yesterday morning to a dead site. Anyway, they responded quickly. Thank you, Redis Labs, and. I said, really, I'm good for it. Thank you to Google for saving Banksy's last
that's cool.
Miserables, or is it Miserable?
Miserable.
Mural. It's he actually is tying Les Miserables to the Calais, to migrants coming into Calais. Beautiful. But as with Banksy's work, it's really graffiti and gets removed. So there goes the Google guy. Some dork in a backpack with a... I don't know how that's really different than making a video of it and we're receiving it in
or
a video.
A photo, for that matter.
But it's going to be part of the Cultural Institute project and Street View, so you can go back and see it. And there's a little QR code where it was. So you can load up here they go. Here go the bad construction men who are going to take down the plywood.
Horse's Mouth, great movie. One of my
love that movie.
Ever. It reminds me of that spectacular movie. Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness is
about an artist
Jimson,
who
right?
found great places to make art, and there were buildings that were going to be torn down.
Was it Cully Jimson?
Scully Jimson. Gully Jimson.
Gully. Great book, by the way, by who wrote A Horse's Mouth? Was it, I want to say Joyce Carol Oates, but I don't think it was.
I think we've even talked about it on the show before.
Have we? I'm getting old, but what a great! If you're not an Alec Guinness fanatic yet,
if you care about creativity, it's one of the great movies.
One of the great movies.
Horse's Mouth and Day for Night. True Defoe's
Joyce
Day for
Carey
Night are my two snotty movies.
Yeah, it's a Joyce Carey novel that was which I read, by the way, after seeing the movie. Wait a minute, can this be true? It says the screenplay was by Alec Guinness.
Wow, I
had no idea.
Ooh.
Oh, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, for those of you who never heard of him.
for this set, yeah.
For this set. You could. I wonder if it's on Netflix or somewhere. If you find it and watch it. In fact, I might buy it because it's one of my favorite movies. Is it an Ealing comedy? No. But it's one of those great movies from 1958. All right. You could tell we're drifting off here.
You look just under that last discussion.
The staff here go.
Leo, if you look just under that last discussion, there's even more information about the...
Oh, yeah. I've been using the Cultural Institute as my wallpaper on Chrome for some time. This is a really great project. In fact, it was one of my picks. I think was the wallpaper. So if I do a new tab in Chrome, oh, maybe I turned it off. Oh, it's not doing it now, but it was for a while. It's my wallpaper in my Chromebook. They have a Chrome extension that will put images up from their Cultural Institute. They're saving art, all kinds of art, including street art.
They even have walking tours of many of the galleries around the world.
Yeah. I love it. The Google Cultural Institute, artist by artist.
That's the street art.
Yeah, this is the street art collection. But there's lots of collections. If you go, you can. They do seem to favor graffiti and street art, but there's a lot of other stuff too.
That's an amazing collection,
isn't it? Why do I know cultural? My extension is turned off. Let me turn it back on, I guess. I periodically go through and delete extensions. I have so many of them.
Yeah. I just put up the Horse's Mouth trailer.
Oh. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. We'll wrap it up with our tip and our number.
Good.
And then we will play a little bit of the Horse's Mouth trailer to inspire you. It's about art. It's about an artist, an uncompromising artist. And creativity, and I loved it because he never sold out. He lived in a houseboat, kind of like Jimson. Never sold out. The Google Cultural Institute, and it makes a wonderful Chrome extension. Is it working now? Yeah, there it is. So when I do a new tab, I get art every day, a different painting or work of art from the Google Cultural Institute.
That's cool.
I love that. Isn't that nice? Recommend it as your. You can do lots of. The problem with a Chromebook, I don't know if you found this, Jeff, is that the wallpaper. I wish it had. I like rotating wallpapers, and I wish it had.
You don't see the wallpaper because it's always a browser.
Well, that's part of the problem too. Yeah, there's always something on the screen.
Yeah.
All right, time for a break and to talk about our mattress because both Jeff and I are getting sleepy. We're getting sleepy. We're having dreams of floating onto a Casper mattress. I love their slogan, a life well slept. Actually, studies, the internet, everybody now is saying sleep is more important for your long-term health, for your ability to think, for everything. I mean, a good night's sleep is more than just like, oh, I got a good night's sleep. It's everything. And your mattress is an integral part of your future. Casper.com is revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing that along directly to you. A great mattress engineered in the United States, made in the United States, combining latex and memory foam. There are no springs. And here's the thing. You may say, well, how will I know if I like it? Well, what you do is you order it and you can try it free for 100 nights. If you don't like it, they'll refund you every penny. They'll even come and pick it up and take it away. Free. So I think that's enough. That should make you more comfortable with the idea. And talking about comfort, Casper mattress is incredible. It turns out there is an ideal mattress. And they've done a lot of research to figure out what the perfect mattress is. It combines just the right amount of give and just the right amount of firmness to give you a great night's sleep. Free delivery. It comes in a surprisingly compact box. Look at this. These are the factors we considered. Firmness, density, rebound speed, airflow, transition temperature, and odor. You know what? They nailed it in all 6 regards. Sometimes people say, I don't like memory foam because when it's cold, it's firm, and when it's warm. No, it's incredible. This is awesome. They did 108 prototypes to come up with one perfect mattress. And it could be on your bed in just a matter of days. Right now, when you go to Casper.com/twig, you'll even save $50 on the mattress of your choice. Casper.com/twig. Use the promo code TWIG to save $50. Terms and conditions apply. And if you want to know what those are, visit Casper.com/terms. I love our Casper. And now I got Casper pillows. They're my new favorite pillow. It's giant. It's they got the whole thing now. I got you covered with your bedding. Casper.com. Look, they have their own unboxing. I like my unboxing better. Here's their unboxing. It's too fast. Mine was more pleasant. But it's really amazing. This little box, you get a queen size. Oh, I guess I did the same thing. They stole my idea. Oh, hey, that's me. I fell on the bed too. I jumped on the bed. So what's great is this mattress comes in a tiny box, which you can easily get upstairs or whatever. And then it just goes, and you've got it and watch. Oh, so comfortable. Casper.com/twig. Jeff Jarvis, welcome back, and thank you and Sarah Bartlett for setting up, and the team at
It's pretty cool. The whole
City
team,
University of New York J School.
We waved the control room. They're waving back.
Great job,
guys. Come on in for a second. Come on.
Yeah, let's give them a plug.
Come on in.
Great job. It looks so good. Here they come.
Come on, just stand over behind the camera. No, they're grooming their beards.
Oh no, no. Neck beards are allowed on this show.
Inspired by your beard.
So these are the guys.
One of them could zoom out. That would be great.
Nice.
Oh, come on, you know where the camera is. Come on, you got to see the camera.
Get in the camera. There. What do you got? You got more people working for you than I have working for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're big here. Yes. George's head is in
a great group. George. Thank you for a nice job. Yay, CUNY.
So they say thank you.
Thank you. And this is just the beginning of it's going to be a wonderful friendship as we do more and more from Times Square, live from the Town Night School. A Town Night.
No, the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism and the Town Night Center is what I had.
And the Town Night Center at the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. CUNY stands for the City University of New York, and it is a great institution, and we're so glad to be allied with you guys. Thanks to Jeff. And we're very excited about having a New York studio. Thank you for doing that. It's so great.
Yeah, and I mentioned that we were going to do the show here today. And you know Dan Dubno?
Yeah.
You know, so he said, "Do you want to do a show with gadgets, and I'll bring in a bag of gadgets?" And I said, "Yeah, great." So we're already getting story ideas.
Nice. I can't wait. When are we going to launch the show, New York Startups?
Late spring.
If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. Your number of the week, Mr. Jarvis.
I think what we have to do is Facebook, while we were on the show, revealed its earnings.
Oh, numbers came out.
And they were amazing. Sales rose 52%. 52%. Smashing the forecasts.
What is sales? That's ad sales.
That's, primarily, right.
$5.84
billion. And the street had guessed $5.37 billion.
You know, after Apple announces $18.4 billion profits in a quarter, making a mere $1.5 billion seems so paltry.
Yeah, I know.
But it's okay. It's good money. It's nice work if you can get it.
It's pretty darn amazing. Then the other numbers that came out, and this was on Zuckerberg's own post on Facebook, which is also linked there. 1.5 billion monthly Facebook users, 900 million WhatsApp users. That'll pass 1 billion very fast. 800 million Messenger, right? So add those two numbers together. 400 million
Christmas.
Instagram. Phenomenal. Cow. Just phenomenal.
Insane growth.
19 million people so far connected via internet.org. So it's still a small number while that goes through controversy.
Well, that's still a lot of people.
50 million small businesses using pages. That's to me a huge growth opportunity. Is I've been trying to argue with them that local news sites should be their sales agents for that, and there's tremendous power there. 500 million people use events. I don't even use events.
What's events? Oh, actually, I did use it because Scoble had his Scoble show last weekend, and he used events to plan and pay for the whole thing. It actually worked quite well.
Yeah. So that's the numbers of the week.
I have to apologize. I missed the most important story of the week. If you've been watching the new X-Files, Mulder and Scully are using Nexus phones. Of course, the truth is out there.
Yeah.
Is that, what phone is that? Is that a Nexus 5?
That was like a 6P, doesn't it?
It's a 6P.
No, the camera's off to the side, so I think it's a 5.
Oh, you're right.
So they're using the cheap one.
He is. She's using the new one.
Okay, there we go.
The doctor is using the new one.
Scully's using the 6P. Let's see.
Yeah,
God,
that's
it's hard to tell. But yeah, it's definitely Android. Do you think Google gave them some little something to do that, or do you think they're just doing it on their own? Yeah, she's definitely holding a 6P because I can see the fingerprint reader right there, right? But wait a minute, isn't the camera in the middle there? I don't know. We're gonna get Miriam Jouar on this one because that looks like that might not be a 6P. I see a fingerprint reader though. Wow. Might be that's a 5X also.
Or the what's the one that's not the P? The 6X?
Oh, it's a 6.
Yeah.
It's just a 6.
Yeah.
She's got a Shamu.
So.
That's old. That's old school. Wait a minute. How did I get that? No.
That's because it was made a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. How does TV work?
Not like this.
When are the Google results are probably this week too? Then.
Oh, that's right. Probably. Be interesting to see. Could Google become the #1 company bigger than Apple?
Oh, interesting. We shall see. I don't know if I have a product. It seems like I have a lot of products, but I don't have anything right off the top of my head.
You have Gully Jimson.
I have the horse's mouth, $2.99 on Amazon. And
recommended people.
Yeah. Well worth it. I think that was a Nexus 6 she was holding. That would be my guess. Although we're now learned, I'm being told by the Ear people that that show was filmed in July. Isn't it funny? Because it really isn't the Ear people, it's a chat room. But if there was someone, there we go. Here's this horse's mouth trailer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It's been a great show. Thank you to Jonathan Abrams of Nuzzel.com for being our guest. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis, for getting me so excited by your new studio. We do This Week in Google, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Yes, that's 21:30 UTC every Wednesday afternoon. I hope you'll join us live. If you can't, you can always get on-demand versions from twit.tv/twig or wherever you subscribe to finer podcasts. Thank you to our producer, Jason Clanthis. I'm Leo Laporte. We'll see you next time on Twig.